Guys, welcome back to another video. Today this is going to be the second episode of our Empire of David playthrough series. If you remember last episode, we just finished declaring war and gaining all of this land right over here, but with that we did get some pop-ups right here. So we're going to want to be fixing these in this episode today, and then maybe potentially declaring war on this nation right here. So first off, you're going to see disallowed characters. And disallowed characters is always, you always want to say that till you fix some other things, because they can potentially fix this. So we're going to go to unused trade routes and capital. And so since our economy is decent but not the best, and we do want to get some more cohorts so we can potentially defend against Egypt if Egypt does decide to declare war on us. So we're going to want to see, as always, if for output, we're going to want to find out, well, how many people there are in each part. As you can see, slaves are the greatest piece of our population with 40%, so we're going to want to go and import leather, which will increase our slave output by 10. And so we're going to import it from Persian Reign of Power of Armenia, and then we'll import it, and now we have another import. You see it's coming from all the way up there. And so now we're going to want to fix this lack of governor, and this will happen because we just did conquer a lot of land, so we're going to have to appoint a governor. And so as you can see, there is the list is going down, but that is because there's no governor appointed, and so we're going to want to appoint a governor. As you can see, we have really bad governors. So you ever find yourself in a situation where you have really bad governors, and this guy does do some good stuff, but if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, you might want to go to the characters window. Once you're up here in the character window, you're going to check, put an X next to employed, so you know everyone's who's not employed. As you can see, there is no, even if we do sort by finesse, there's no one that's very good that is currently employed. So we're going to uncheck all of these, and we're just going to have to go with that less good governor, although he is doing pretty well. So now we're going to want to fix prisoners abroad, and that just means that this guy is in that other. Next up, we're going to want to fix the prisoners abroad. And so this is not going to be something we can fix currently because we do have to unpause. And so we'll just let it go to the diplomat arrives. And then we will have to fix some of these. So we're going to... So what's happening here is we need to... So what's happening here is as you become bigger... What's happening here is as your nation becomes bigger, you are going to need to adopt more major families. So you can see we have 3 options right here, and you can see that each of these don't provide any benefits, or, well, I mean not benefits. And so we are going to want to adopt this person because they are pretty good militarily wise, and so we're going to welcome that person in. And so we are getting a lot of military access requests, and so basically what this is these guys want military access so they can connect the tiny parts of their nation. Egypt wants military access so they can get to the places that they're trying to conquer. And this nation right here, we can find where it is. These guys, I don't know why they would want military access, and these guys want to maybe get up here. So we are going to refuse all of these, except for Egypt's, so they don't declare war on us. So we're going to accept that offer, and then for all the other ones, we're going to want to decline. And so now you can see we do have civil war because of that, some of the decisions and disallowed characters. So we're just going to fix the unmarried ruler, and it's not very many good candidates. We're going to go with this one right here because she does have some good stats. And so now you can see we do have a civil war potentially breaking out in 41 months. So we're gonna, so you can see it's because of 2 different people. So first of all, the general of the first army is revolting. As I told you in the beginning, you don't want the army to revolt, and in this case, this guy has. You can see the little fist. That just means they're disloyal, and you cannot control where this army goes to. There's nothing you can do with this army. And if you are at war, this is not the worst possible thing, because they will still help you at war, but they just won't do what you want necessarily. So let's find this guy right here. He is Lanky Lant. Can't find it. Actually, we can just click on his banner, and then you can see we have some options here. So his loyalty is at 31, and if it goes above 33, this whole civil war will be called off. So what we're going to want to do is make him our rival. So I showed you this trick in a couple other playthroughs, but what you're going to want to do is click on our name. You can see we now have a rival, and then you can hit plan assassination, and then you can see that this guy is right here, and you can hit select. And so that means in a certain number, once this finishes, we allow 38% of assassinating him. Since 38% is not a very high percent, we're going to want to also ensure that he is loyal to us. You can see we could no longer make friends, and we wouldn't want to do that anyway, because essentially making friends in this game is giving them an excessive amount of money. If you don't give them enough money, they won't be that friendly to you. So what we're going to want to do is go over here to bribe, and this is what we're unfortunately going to have to do. Pay him some political influence, but that will get his loyalty up. So we can just hit this, and now you can see character bribed, and that will give us some negative effects, including more aggressive expansion. That will call off that potential civil war. So as you can see, Egypt's armies are walking through, trying to go over here and conquer that. That's no concern to us. We do have to choose an omen, and we are going to go with national citizen output so we can get some more money up. So what we're going to want to do is just select David here, and then you can see we do get some more freemen. Then you can see we do have a prisoner approaching, and we are just going to accept that. You can see we now do have civil war again, because this guy has decided to accept a bribe and then not like us still. So it's not much we can do here. We can reward veterans, and then the cohorts in his army will lose some loyalty, and then we can do this as well, but that doesn't really affect us that much. And now Egypt, for some reason, decided that they don't want military access anymore, probably because they did manage to win that war, getting that land, and so there's nothing we really can do about that. So as you can see up here, it might not be super apparent, but our treasury is up a lot. And that's because you can see we're paying almost nothing for our maintenance, because this guy has generously decided to pay for this army because he is disloyal. And so in approximately 41 months, and it is around 41 months, it kind of skips around a bit, but he will decide to revolt. And so what we're going to want to do is obviously build up this army so we can deal with that revolt. So later on in the if this revolt continues, we're going to want to reward some veterans and pay them some money, and then they will leave his army. So now we're just going to want to go recruit to army, and then you can see we already have an archers and some light infantry. We are going to unpause because there's not much we could do right now, and so we're going to go for light cavalry, and you can see our manpower is really low right now, which is a problem, and so we're going to have to wait for that to go up before recruiting. And if our manpower does not go up in time for the civil war, we may have to, that's this. So you can see we have some pretty bad options, and you can see we do have one green option, meaning that this is the game telling you that this is a really bad option. And so we're going to want to go with this option, because that will give us some more money that we could potentially use to increase our chances in the potential civil war. So title unassigned, chancellor, and we're going to import. Now we're going to point this guy right here, and you see he was pretty good, and he was getting slow because his family was scorned. So we can't recruit to this army because of that, and there's one other thing we can do. We'll unpause, but we could potentially recruit mercenaries. You can see that these mercenaries are just right over here. They are 7,000. Their general isn't the best, and their monthly maintenance isn't really high. As you can see now, our monthly money is pretty low because of some options we did. But if the Civil War does end up happening and we aren't able to get enough manpower, we are going to need to recruit some mercenaries. And the assassinate window is filling up right here, and we can watch it potentially succeed. And if it doesn't succeed, then there's a couple things that could end up happening. Well, let's just fix this first. We are going to go with this one because that does give us another character that can potentially help us. And so with here you can see that bar is slowly filling up, and with a 38% chance. And so what can happen is if it succeeds, then potentially a pop-up will say that this guy died with whatever weapon this guy has been known to use, and some other things. But It's just really close. And you can see that Civil War option did just disappear, meaning that this guy probably decided that he wanted to be a bit more loyal. He is now at 37%. You can see assassination failed. It didn't go according to plan, and you can see that we do lose some health. And so that was fortunate, but you can see the assassination did fail. So now, however, now that this guy is a bit more loyal, we can control him, and we can potentially, they have decided to cancel the military axis. But what we're going to want to do is fabricate claim of this little nation right here. So as you can see that they are subject states with overlord of Phrygia. But Phrygia is, if these things would stop popping up, you see this is a plot chain, and a plot chain, what it is just a bunch of events that happen, and it starts either way, but we do get a chance to get this loyal guy a bit more loyalty. So you can see over here, Phrygia is currently only quite a bit separated from this little territory that they have here, and most likely, since they were at war with Egypt, because Egypt took all this land, they won't be able to use their ships and drop off troops over here. So we are going to just go over here and then hit covert actions, fabricate claim, and then we'll see how that goes. As you can see, the reason we haven't been going to war with this nation is, one, it does have an alliance with Egypt, and two, even if the alliance broke, we do have a truce with them, but we are going to want to start fabricating a claim just in case that alliance breaks. You can see we do have a claim fabricated, but you might notice that he is back in action at being disloyal once again. So I have started up the counter for the assassination, which we do have the same amount of success chance, and so we'll see how that goes. This did just pop up. As you can see, that we've informed that the assassination was actually successful, meaning that civil war is now no longer a possibility, and we've just dealt with that situation. Now we do have a sworn family, because that guy was in the giant family, which is a major family, so we are going to have to fix that. You can see they have 1 out of 2. So when dealing with a sworn family, if there's no immediate jobs, well, in this case there is, and we can go over, and you can see that this guy is the second best guy available for the job, so we're just going to go with him. And then you can see that this guy is also, and you see that this guy, there's a better guy available, so we are going to go with him. So now we have a couple options in terms of war. So we can either go to war with Lithuania, which is now allied with Kodar and Egypt, or we can go to war with Samara, which is Phrygia, or Phrygia is their overlord. And so what I'm going to do here is, because you can see that these guys want access for some reason. I don't know why they'd want to get over here, but we are going to accept that offer, and then we're, as always, going to accept that trade offer. So in this case, obviously, if Phrygia were to be able to get here, we would not be able to win that war, because they do have a ton more cohorts than we do. But if you go and click on Egypt, you can see that Egypt is allowed military access from these 4 nations, and is granting military access to these 3. And none of those 3 are Phrygia, meaning that if we declare war, Phrygia will have no way of getting its troops over here to support this little nation, and it does only have 4 cohorts. So we're going to want to move our troops into position, maybe switch these around so this army can go lay siege to these forts. And so now they're in position. We are just going to declare war. Right here, you can see that Phrygia will be called in, and possible defenders joining Phrygia are all of these guys. And so we're just going to make sure that none of them are in here, so you can see that we have those 3, and then declaring war. None of those 3 are coming. So we're like, okay, Phrygia become enemy war leader. And what that means is that since Phrygia's enemy war leader, we can't make a separate truce with this nation. We'll have to make a truce with the entire alliance until for a couple of years at least. So we're gonna move both troops into both armies, I should say, to there. You can see this army's gonna try and escape. They siege our land, so we're gonna get this bit smaller army, but still bigger than their army, to go and chase after them. And so that army's just going to sit over there, and you're going to have to choose something. We're going to go with this, because we are pretty positive in terms of money. And so you can see they stopped to lay siege because they were cornered because they couldn't go here. And so they kind of cornered themselves. And so now we are hopefully going to be able to win that little battle. And you can see we are pretty easily. And then we're going to want to chase this army. You can see they're going this way. So we'll just follow them until they reach whatever destination they're retreating to. And then we'll be able to engage with them again. And then we should hopefully be able to take them out. Unless they escape like that. And then in that case, we'll just lay siege to right here and have them support that nation. So here you can see that Phrygia and all of its subject states and allies have come to be at war with us, but since they don't have access, they have no way of getting to where we are. Unless Egypt decides to grant military access. But since they were at war and Egypt did take all this land from Phrygia, that's not a very likely chance. So we're going to send both armies here, and this army we're just going to have unsiege that, because that little army did seem to lay siege to it. You can see that they are increasing their army size, so we're going to head over because you can see their morale bar is pretty low, meaning that we should be able to take them out. And see they're cornered because it can't go into Egypt once again, and we're going to be able to beat them pretty easily. Though our army is now a lot worse for wear, we should still be able to take them out almost completely this time. So 135, and this process pretty much continue until both the armies have been completely destroyed, really, because they don't have enough morale to lose a lot of troops. So we're just going to send our army. You see that these guys, wherever they are, Lithuania decided to declare war. So this is both good and bad. These guys want access. Who are they? Then we will grant them access because potentially, if we can pause the game, that will be good. So we'll just hit OK. It's not really else much we can do. You can see that now we are at war with Egypt. Now you can see a lot of Egyptian armies mobilizing. They are not, however, coming to attack us, but they are. You can see that these are new recruits. They don't have any commanders, and they are gonna go join up another army because, yeah, Egypt is now at war with the Seleucids, and so they're probably mobilizing their troops to go fight up there. So for Omen, we're going to go with the same Omen we're going for, so we can increase our army size even more, because we are pretty high on money, but our manpower is not the greatest. And so now we pretty much completely won this war, but we aren't going to be able to capture anything, because Phrygia is going to be like, why should I give you peace? So we're going to be out of war with this nation for pretty much a long time, until Phrygia decides to give up. And so these guys are going to have to be sent down here because, obviously, these guys have decided to attack. And so Maka wants military access. You can see that that army, the Independent Operation 1, is going over and attacking that. And we're just going to give them military access. And then you can see that we do manage to completely take out that army. And then if we can lay siege to this as well, yep. So now this army is going to head down over there and help us out. Help this army out, at least. And you can see that same 6,000 army that you might remember from the first episode that we had to deal with quite a bit. Looks like it's the same exact army, same size. And they are getting an early start in terms of capturing land, because we were all the way up here at the top of our land. So you can see they disappeared because we no longer have intelligence in this area, because they have completely taken it out. And so we're going to want to try and corner them over here, but we're going to have to try and cut them off. Now they have stopped, they are going to be cornered, and we are going to be hopefully able to take them out. This is the other nation that is helping out. I should probably know their names. The Lahania and Quidar. And so we're going to be able to take them out, victorious, and we did imprison their commander. So we'll put these armies both on independent operation, so they hopefully should chase after those armies. And then we can see that we are now winning the war with Phrygia. They must have decided that, yeah, you do have that land occupied. And so we're going to want to go over here. We still have, we still can't do anything in terms of white peace or anything, because months of war is pretty, as you can see, we haven't been fighting for that long, so they're going to just want to stay. So you can see that this is a subject, so it won't be able to sue for peace in any way with it separately, so we're going to have to wait till the months of war is depleted and Phrygia has decided to let us, take that land. And what we're going to do right here is just unsiege all of the land that those two nations were able to lay siege to. And then we're going to probably push forward into their capital and the only force in this area with this army. And maybe making a pit stop right here. So this army is being a lazy army and sending itself over there instead of doing anything, so we're going to send them here as well. So we're just going to take control of both of them at the same time. Because with independent operation, what will happen occasionally, so you can see that this army has left and they're no longer fighting. Independent operation, occasionally what you can find is that they'll become lazy armies and just decide to go sit off somewhere else. And so what you want to do with those armies is either punish them by making them do the hardest job, or just move them back closer or into enemy territory. And then once they're in your enemy's territory, then they will, most likely, as you can see, this one did begin helping you out. So you can see we now are at war with Egypt because they've called in their allies because they are allies. And so since we're at war with Egypt, and if you didn't notice, Egypt's army is already here, and 20,000 troops, that one army is bigger than our entire army combined. So we're going to want to try and get white peace, but not going to be able to do that because once again that pesky months at war tab is going to not go well for us. So we are going to want to try and obviously finish up this war, but still that months at war is going to be really annoying. So now we are at war with a lot of places. And considering that we don't have the biggest army, that's really not what we want to be doing. So we're going to start recruiting some, and we cannot recruit any troops because we don't have the manpower, only 116, and so that's going to be really bad for us because every single soldier we lose pretty much right now is going to be the only soldier that we have, really. And so we're just going to try and complete this siege because we know that its armies are way bigger than ours and that we're not going to be able to beat them in all that war. So our only hope is to get a firm hold down here, and that will hopefully give us the war score we need to beat them. And so this army has decided to apply the second worst general possible, other than a 0, a 1, and then so we're going to want to get our 4th army up here, and I'll have to take a long route because this area is protected by this fort that we are laying siege to, and so we'll try and have them cut off that army. Except they are going to barely escape, so we're going to have to maybe move up here and chase them, or they're going to decide not to, and then we'll have to circle back around. We'll be able to beat them pretty easily, and now they're kind of sent on their way, and we just won that siege. So now our war score is significantly higher, and our nations up here is not looking too worse for wear. It appears that Egypt is not too interested, and as well as Seleucids are doing some work up here. So now we are at -1, which we're just about able to take this land, and so we're going to want to ideally try and get that land, and then we'll see if we are allowed to get it, maybe Egypt or the... So now we're going to lay siege to this fort right here, and forts are great for getting up your war score if your war score is low, and this fort is a pretty central fort right here, so you can see just about everything that's going on in this little nation. And so we're going to automatically capture those areas. You can see this kind of random nation is sending us troops. Whereas there are these guys. And so these guys we could potentially... Nope, never mind. We can't get an alliance with them, which is unfortunate because they could help us out, but that doesn't seem like what's going to happen. So you can see this is going pretty well. I'm going to kind of reshift my focus up here because they are laying siege with their incredibly low morale army up here. So we are going to have to choose something here, and both of these are pretty bad. You can see that this guy is challenging our rule, it looks like, and so we're going to have to deal with something. So either he gets corruption and they lose some loyalty, or they lose a lot of loyalty, but this guy is imprisoned. And this guy is one of the only guys that was good. I'm saying guy a lot, but we are going to go. We can't move against Joseph. And so in terms of suing for peace, we could go for nothing, but we are going to want to get something out of that war, considering that if we do nothing, we'll have a truce for a pretty long time. So we're only a couple score off. That months of war should fix that. And so we can almost go for white peace here. And you can see that Egypt's armies has decided that they're going to ignore all the land that they've lost up here and just head down and attack us. So you might want to send up an army. You can see our manpower is really low, so we're not going to be fit for really engaging those armies up there. So we're going to try and get this one fort and then get up there, because this one fort is the only thing keeping us from really getting everything in this nation. And then we can go for white peace, and you can see that they are going pretty slowly, although they are just about to be able to capture that fort with their really, once again, low morale army that we could probably beat if we rushed up here. But that is a pretty long crossing. If you don't notice, they do have another army right there. And we're going to try again up here, and we are potentially going to be able to. We are literally just a tiny bit off right there. And so once it gets to at least 35, yep, now we're able to do it. And so we'll hit OK. You can see that now we just conquered Samington Elite, and then hit OK, and now we do own that land. So Egypt's going to be able to get this, but now we did gain some more forts, so they're going to have to probably lay siege to this. Which is going to probably annoy them a lot. You can see now that our war score is decreasing because obviously Egypt is laying siege to our things, and now we just won that siege. So we're going to get all of our armies up here to try and take this Egyptian army, although there's no way we get there in time, because once again this is a pretty long path. And so we did lose that siege up there, but it kind of evened out in terms of which one. So we're going to send both these armies up here. This army is disloyal, it appears. And so this army, once again, disloyal armies are not the worst. Although this is our first army, or our bigger army, it is going to help us deal with those things up there. So we have a couple options. Now that we only technically control this one army of 5,000 men, there's not much that we can do in terms of engaging this army of 25,000. So we're going to probably want to uncapture this areas, or go out and try and prey on these smaller armies before this less agile Egyptian army can get to us. And you can see that there's an offer of peace, which is great. And then you can see that we do lose all of this area. And so that is a pretty bad offer, but if you can see here, we don't really have much of an opportunity. You can see there's a negative 39. And so we are going to have to accept this offer. If you notice, our war score is only going down, and with Egypt and all of these other armies with significantly more troops and our complete lack of manpower, we are going to have to accept this offer. Which is unfortunate, but we'll have to do it, and we can try and gain this land back, because we did do a lot of damage in this war. We just will have to wait until they lose their alliance with Egypt. You see, we do now have a civil war because another person, aka the general of the First Army. His First Army is proving to be pretty annoying. So they are being pretty disloyal, and you can see we do have 40 months, and so we are going to make him a rival and do the same thing we did before with planning assassination, which will get up our aggressive expansion, but we should be able to potentially assassinate them with a 42% chance. So we're going to have to cap it here for this episode. Next episode, we're going to try and hopefully avoid civil war, as well as fix those disloyal characters. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time.